Hi, it's Facebook Friday, and we are coming to you live from our Facebook Friday studios. Sounds so fancy. We're just sitting in the back corner of our guest bedroom. But as you can see, I have a special guest with me. This is Mr. Dan Wade. And if you don't know, he is my best friend, my favorite person on the planet, and he's also my husband. We've been married for 18 years, and today we're going to talk about going for it. We're going to talk about goals, going for your goals, and how it's never too late to do or be anything that you want. And most importantly, we're going to talk about how to stay on track and make a comeback after a setback. And Dan has an incredible story. I have to say that this week is the first week in about a year and a half that I haven't done a written blog. I tried to write about this, and I just couldn't capture the power and the essence of the story, of Dan's story. And I thought, hey, maybe I can convince this guy to come on here with me and do this live interview. And as you can see, he agreed, and I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So as you know, we've been married for 18 years. We met many years ago at the gym. Dan was a power lifter when I met him, and he's still a power lifter today. And I have to tell you, when I first met him, I wasn't quite sure what that meant, powerlifting, but I soon learned. And I think once you're a power lifter, you're always a power lifter. I think that's the case. But Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, your powerlifting story that led you to where you are right now?
Okay, so back in 1994, I was in the gym, and I had been done playing college football for, 7, 8 years by then, and I was looking for something else, and a guy asked me to come over and spot him, and he was in his mid-30s, and he was bench pressing a whole bunch of weight, and I said, what is that about? What are you training for? You're too old to be playing football anymore. And so he told me about powerlifting. I was hooked. I decided at that point I was going to go for it. I was going to train hard. I was going to learn from people I could learn from, and I was going to try to be the strongest I could possibly be. And, one thing I always want to tell people is don't set your goals too low. Go for it. Put your goal out there, and but you have to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So you set your goals at manageable levels, and then you go. So my first goal was to win a state championship in Arizona, and I trained for 2 years and I won it. And then my goal was to win 3, and I won 3. And then my goal was to win 10, and I was the state champion for 10 years in a row. Somewhere along the lines, I wanted to win a national, and I went to Dallas and I won a national, and then I won 2. And then, I started to get to my late 30s, and I won 3 nationals, and I wanted to go out on top. And I wanted to say that was it. Powerlifting is a lot of fun. It's awesome, but it's a grind. And getting ready for contests is brutal. So at 39 years old, I wanted to go out on top, and I wanted to just fade into retirement nicely. And so that's what I did. I went out on top, and I retired in 2005 at the age of 39. So that's my powerlifting story.
All right, so I happen to know that you were retired for many, many years, working out in our gym in Washington, where we lived at the time. And suddenly, not that long ago, you rolled over one morning and told me that God talked to you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what brought you out of retirement?
Okay, so when we moved to Washington, I built a gym in the garage, and my goal was to just stay in shape. I was still lifting heavy, staying in shape. It was I was at that point in my life where I didn't want to give back all the gains I had gotten. It was certainly part of my life, and I trained hard. I trained hard, but getting ready for contests and doing contests is a whole nother level. So I was fine with training in the garage, training heavy, working hard, and I did that for 10 years. So that was good. So then we moved out to South Carolina. I joined a gym. I gave my gym to the local fire department there, joined a gym here, and I had been training there for a little over a year, and I started to see that the biggest steroid dealer in the area was at my gym, and he was pushing his drugs on all the young guys. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, I can either watch it happen or I can get involved. And God put it on my heart that, you know what, you got a great story to tell, you're still strong, you've been drug free your whole life, time to get back in the game. And God put that on my heart, and it was twofold. It was to inspire the young people, But I thought at age 52, 51, 52, I can inspire other people that maybe are a little older and, have been thinking about things like this, and also bring some positive exposure to the church. A guy can love Jesus Christ and still be strong and, willed in his ways. So that's where I came from. And so I decided at that point, come out of retirement and start training.
So is that the meaning behind your shirt that you wear?
So Strength from the Cross is the name of my business. I do personal training, and it's also my, it's also training the kids, and it's also where I get my personal strength from. It's, I think about it every day, and I thought about it from the very beginning that I couldn't possibly be going through this without, the love of God and the love of Jesus Christ in my life. And so there it is.
Okay. So it was a year ago this month, I think, that the first meet you had coming out of your retirement, we were in Fort Mills.
Correct.
And so talk about that.
So Fort Mill was my first meet out of retirement, and I did really well. I broke 6 state records, and obviously won my weight class in my age group. There's really not, at 50 plus years old, there's really not a lot of guys around that, weight class or not, there's not a lot of guys 50 plus that are pushing any serious weight. So right out of the gate, I was ranked 3rd in the nation, broke 6 state records, and off and running. And then I started to think to myself, well, I could, if I make the top in the nation, I could, make Team USA.
So right now you're ranked 3rd in the nation.
Actually, right now I'm ranked 2.
Oh, you're 2nd in the nation.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. You're new. So let's talk about then, I think it was in August of this past year, we went to Southeast Regional in
Charlotte.
So let's talk about that day.
So that day was a rough day. When you declare your opening squat or an opening lift in any lift, you have to get that lift. So I opened at 529 in the squat, and I lost my balance, and it freaked me out. I almost went down. The spotters grabbed me. And then the second attempt, I missed because I was still freaked out and I was high. Third attempt, I thought I hit it, but judges didn't think so. So I bombed out of the meet. You're disqualified. If you don't hit at least one lift, you're disqualified. And so
that was the first time ever in your entire life.
That was the first, not only was the first time I ever bombed out of a meet, I had never missed squats on depth ever.
Your whole entire life.
Right. So I was shocked. I was shocked that had happened. And I didn't know how to handle it, and it was a bad day overall.
Yeah.
But
so I remember that day, and I know how disappointed I felt because I knew how hard you worked. I know the blood, sweat, and tears that went into preparing for that contest, and that you came out of retirement, and God brought you out of retirement only to bomb out of that meet. And I remember the entire rest of that weekend and coming home just thinking, maybe it's over. Maybe your powerlifting journey has come to an end. Maybe you came out of retirement for some other reason. I don't know. So what was that like for you? Because let's talk about last weekend. Last weekend was the South Carolina State Championship. Where were we?
Columbia.
Columbia, South Carolina. Let's talk about that and your performance in that meet.
So going back to regionals, yeah, I felt terrible, but I was definitely shell shocked, but I never thought about quitting. This road I knew was going to be a long road, and this was just a bump in the road. I go back to the gym, I work hard, I correct the mistakes I made. I had a squat suit problem that was a little bit too loose because the squat suit was 15 years old, and so I get a new squat suit, and this past weekend had another great day, broke 6 state records,
actually 10
right? State records, and new squat suit, broke 10 state records. Now I'm ranked 2nd in the nation, and so it was a good day. And I lifted, I broke my personal bests out of retirement in all 3 lifts. So yeah, it was a great day, and I'm super happy with that. And you just keep going.
So I love this saying that goes, how's that saying go about right before you quit is when a miracle's about to happen. And honestly, I thought you were going to throw in the towel. I know I would have thrown in the towel. But one of my favorite quotes from Nelson Mandela is, I never lose. I either win or I learn. And I think I watched that with you, because success isn't always in a straight line, right? Sometimes it's a squiggly, sometimes it's like a heartbeat up and down. And I saw you kind of recalibrate yourself, and kind of just once you accepted what happened, you kind of thought, okay, what went wrong? Where did I go wrong? What can I tweak? What can I do differently? And I witnessed it firsthand, and I thought that was just so impressive that you just stayed in the game and kept on track.
Yeah, I mean, I was upset and I was shell-shocked, but I never considered quitting. I mean, this, like I said, this is going to be a long journey, and I still got a long way to go. So, but I'm having fun with it. The interesting part is this past weekend, I brought one of the kids I'm mentoring up with me, and he made the comment that it was so nice to see me come back after such a collapse in Charlotte. And I thought to myself, there it is right there. That's the price of admission, to help someone see at 19 years old that you have your setbacks and you get right back in there and you go for it.
Yeah.
So
let's say it's worth mentioning that we're 52. He's 52 and so am I. So I know, I watch you come home from the gym, especially on Saturdays when it's heavy squat day, and I see that you're tired and you are beat and you are sore, and that happens a lot. So can you share with us, how do you keep going? How do you keep going back? How do you force yourself to work out when the gas tank is empty and you're just tired because you're 52?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I love the sport, and I find it easy to push myself because I have the goals. But no matter what it is you're talking about, it's all about dreaming. I'm still dreaming. I'm still dreaming of winning a world championship, getting a gold medal. That's what keeps me going. And if you're not dreaming about something, then you need to find that dream. I once heard, and this was in corporate America, so you kind of take it with a grain of salt, but if you're doing work without a vision, it's really drudgery. And that's true. I mean, if you're digging a hole and you're not looking at planting a rose bush, it's drudgery. So whatever that applies to in your life, you have to find a vision, you have to find a goal, you have to find something that motivates you and drives you. Because guess what? It's not easy. I mean, sometimes I pick myself off the couch on a Saturday morning and I got to go to the gym and I got to squat heavy, and it's rough, but it's the goal I'm after, and I'm keeping going, staying after that goal.
So what, in this whole journey, what's been easier than you expected?
Easier is mentally. I can mentally hang in there. I can, the big joke around the gym is, if the young guys are going to come train with me, pack a lunch, because I'm going to train you into the ground. That mentally it's been easier. It's been harder physically.
Yeah.
Harder physically. And sometimes I laugh because I can't let the young guys see me struggling mentally or physically, because I'm there to set a standard. But I do. I mean, I struggle, and I never complain, because once again, I'm not showing the young guys. I'm trying to show them what it takes to get there. But there's a lot of young guys who trained with me before, and I'll never see them again.
Yeah. Because
they just can't keep up. They want to be strong and they want to do it, but they're not willing to put it in the sacrifice on that day. So it's been easier mentally, physically harder.
So what have you learned about yourself during those?
That I'm really good at working hard, really hard for a long period of time. And that's been the secret to my success, both before and now this time, is I just stay on track. I think about it now. I've been out of retirement it'll be 2 years in March, and it just flown by.
And you were on, after you stopped working out, it was 12 years before you got back into it. Right.
And I trained hard for 12 years, but now that I'm out, it's been almost 2 years. And I love going to the gym. I love training hard. I never back off. I never take my foot off the gas pedal. And it's not drudgery. It's fun. Yeah. And I know it sounds crazy. People have told me before, you're crazy. How could you be doing that?
I'm one of them. I'm one of them that's told him
that
I thought it was crazy.
I love it.
So I want to share with everyone watching a story from last weekend. at the state meet with Dan. So, I'm there, I'm watching, I have to help him with his equipment and everything. And I know that the young guy that Dan mentors and trains and coaches was also competing. And another group of young guys came up from here to watch their friend compete in the game. And, I don't know if the other guys go to church or not. I don't know. But I can tell you that there was a moment right before the competition started that the young guy Dan trains came up to Dan, and it was right before their first lift was about to start. And he came up to him, and they're standing there and they have their gear on and the nerves, the adrenaline and everything, and they're ready to go. And he comes up to you and he said, "Hey, do you want to pray?" And I stood there and watched them put their hands on arms on each other's shoulders, and they bowed their head, and Dan prayed over them. And I have to tell you, for me, even though you outperformed yourself and it was an incredible meet and you broke all those records and all that stuff was wonderful, for me, I stood there and I watched and I looked over, and this group of 4 other young guys that had driven up to watch, they were all messing around with the weights and kind of, doing what they do. They all stopped and they all looked over at you guys, and they just were frozen and they just watched. It was such a powerful moment, I have to tell you. And I'm standing there about to cry because it was such a God moment. I could see God working through you, through them, through the whole thing. And I thought, I can't cry. There's no crying in powerlifting. I cannot cry right now. But it was powerful. And I think that for me, watching you and watching you two pray together was the why, was like the big why God brought you out of retirement, because you're reaching these young guys that I don't know you realize how much. I mean, you're keeping them off drugs, but you're also showing them what it's like to be a strong Christian man.
I get it. I totally get it. And that's, like I said, that's the price. That's worth the price of admission. Having those guys around, and the story on that is I coached most of those guys in the Georgia meet last April, and I said, I only want one thing. You have to do a favor for me. I get to pray before we start the meet. And we all stood around in the crowded, warm-up room, and we all held hands, and there was like 5 of us, and I said a nice little prayer, and that was it. So that kind of started it. So I was actually, in my own warm-up room in my head, and it kind of surprised me when Danny came up and said, "Hey, do you want to say a prayer for us?" Nice. So that was really cool.
That was nice.
So, yeah.
It made me cry.
Yeah.
All right, so this is my first interview, and given that it's my first interview, I have rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right, first one. What's your favorite book?
Flight of the Eagle. It's history of the United States from 1749 on. It's thick, but once I started reading it, I never put it down.
Wow, we are opposite. What's your favorite movie?
Saving Private Ryan.
We're definitely
good
opposites.
War movie. But it's not a glamorous war movie. It tells war the way it is. Awesome. I mean, just I love that movie from the very beginning.
Okay, what is your favorite song?
That's easy. AC/DC Thunderstruck.
That's actually the only answer I knew. The other two, I wasn't quite sure. I really wasn't. All right, final 2 questions. Uh-oh. That's Oliver and UPS guy. All right, I'll ask the question, then I'll go get him. Oliver, come here, baby. Come here. So what do you know to be true about life?
What do I know to be true about life? I once heard the Dalai Lama was quoted as saying, "Your achievements in life are measured by how much you have to give up to get them." And I've always believed that, and I've always gone by that. It's, if you think about anything, whether it's a college degree or it's losing weight or a sport, the more you have to give up, the more you have to sacrifice, the better the achievement is measured. And that was from the Dalai Lama.
Wow, that was good.
So,
final question. What do you want your legacy to be when your life is over? And hopefully that's not going to be for a very, very long time. When that time comes, what do you want your legacy to be?
So my truths in life are hard work will always overcome talent. If you work hard at something, you're always going to overcome that talent. I think I'm proof of that. I don't know if I have a lot of talent. I certainly don't have a lot of talent, genetically for powerlifting. I feel like there's other guys I've lived with over the years that Jeff definitely more genetically gifted than I am. Courage is not the lack of fear, it's being afraid and doing it anyways.
I like that.
You know, I mean, we're all afraid at times in life, whether it's taking a test or doing something. It's not lack of fear, it's being afraid and doing it anyways.
Nice.
And then the last one is you find out what you're made of when you're up against it. You know, when life is throwing you curveballs and you're up against it, you find out what you're made of. So
like
that's my truths in life.
I like that. Well, that is that's our show for today. Guest starring Oliver North right
Thanks
here.
for barking,
Yeah,
buddy.
I don't even think the UPS guy came by. But I want to thank all of you for watching. I know that Dan has a great story, and I want to thank you for doing this with me.
You're welcome.
Writing the blog just it would have been a little quieter, but it wouldn't have had the same impact. So thank you everybody for watching, and have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
God bless you all.
God
Thank
bless.
you.